Hello and welcome to Right to Reply, where you tackle the programme makers about what's on TV. On this week's show, the BBC's home makeovers cost a pretty penny, but who's paying? The game show that leaves contestants and their cars crushed. And should the BBC survive without the licence fee? There's no doubt that home decorating programmes have been one of the big hits of recent years. The £500 spent on each makeover for the BBC's changing rooms could be considered good value in terms of the audience the show pulls in. But not all such programmes are as thrifty. Amanda Gough is concerned that some BBC shows are spending a lot of money on makeovers and she can't see what licence payers are getting in return.
My boyfriend and I bought this place 6 months ago and we've really enjoyed doing it up ourselves. We're almost finished now, we've only got the hallway and the bathroom to go. I'm a big fan of DIY programmes, which is lucky as you can't turn the TV on nowadays without seeing one, and I often make use of their tips and ideas. One of the many programmes that Carol Vorderman is presenting at the moment is BBC One's Dream House.
Welcome to the show that reinvents the way we live. Over the next 6 weeks, we're going to build a 3-bedroom family home fit for the 21st century.
One part of the programme is the Dream House Makeover, where someone is lucky enough to have their room fitted out with the latest in high-tech equipment.
Teenager Katie Foley wants the dream team to turn her bedroom into a tip-top techno room for the millennium.
Well, I've grown out of my room and I've got a list of demands which I want them to do.
A list?
Yeah, these are them.
Gary, take notes.
Number 1, I want a security camera outside my door so I can see who's trying to get in.
Katie's demands were endless. She was given free rein on a wish list billionaire Bill Gates would be proud of. She got everything she asked for, and more. But what was the point of the makeover? This slot offered no real advice on home improvement for anyone interested in DIY, and only served to highlight what having untold amounts of cash can buy you. The only information we were given was the make and model number of the products, which was paraded across the screen. I bet the manufacturers were happy. An advert like that on a commercial channel would cost up to £40,000. Isn't that undue prominence, something the BBC's own producers' guidelines warns against? Katie's makeover added up to well over £5,000, and this week the show gave someone a home cinema.
Ashley's cinema cost £20,000, but there are other systems on the market for a lot less.
Was it the licence payers who footed the bill?
The bulk of the products we accepted free of charge from manufacturers, which we as consumer programmes are allowed to do according to the BBC guidelines that we all work to here and all of my team work to. The key thing is that none of the people who've donated us anything to feature in the programme have done it in exchange for a credit or a mention. We've been very firm about that.
But in the slot, individual items were shown with their product numbers on the screen.
Well, that's something that really is just driven by us making an editorial judgment about what we think the viewers are going to want to know.
What were you hoping to achieve from the Dream House Makeover slot? As a viewer, I didn't feel that I learnt anything about the products that were shown.
The idea behind the makeover slot is to give people a view of the kind of futuristic technology that they could go out and buy and fit into their own house. Obviously not expecting anyone to be able to buy all of it. I'm worried that if you haven't learnt anything from it, because obviously we're trying to give useful information there. I hope that the programme as a whole does form quite an informative package about futuristic technology in houses.
But Dream House isn't the only BBC programme doing costly makeovers.
A kitchen diner like this doesn't come cheap. We practically rebuilt half the house. So brace yourself for the cost.
So who's coughed up this £26,000? The BBC? The manufacturers? In fact, it was the homeowners. But shouldn't these shows tell us?
Because there's a range of mechanisms or a range of ways in which we get items, it would confuse rather than elucidate, I think, if we explained every single process. But the important point to make, I think, here is that the basis on which we use items in our programmes is dictated exclusively by editorial considerations and by no others. Most of the items we use in programmes we've paid for, and indeed many suppliers wouldn't supply them for nothing anyway. But I think the important point is about advertising. If you're advertising an item, you are singling out one specific product and extolling its virtues to the exclusion of all others. That we don't do.
Well, I'm glad that my licence fee didn't pay for the dream house makeover, but I still feel that only the product manufacturers and the teenage girl benefited from it. And I don't believe that the promotion of these products was fair, especially as I now know they were given for free.
Let us know what you think. Our number is on the screen now. The object of a game show, you'd think, is for contestants to win prizes. If you lose, well, at least you've had a good time. But Sky One's Beat the Crusher gives the traditional format a new spin. Not only can competitors go home empty-handed, they could be empty-pocketed too. That's because items from their home, even their car, might end up being destroyed. Viewer John Bound says this emphasis on humiliating contestants is an unwelcome television trend.
Some quiz shows can set you on the road to riches, but if you enter Beat the Crusher, you could end up donating one of your most treasured possessions to a place like this. The winners get a brand new car, the losers just get their bus fare home.
One wrong guess and your car ends up a mangled mess. One right guess could be the key to success.
The show is hosted by Freddie Starr and Melinda Messenger. Contestants are literally plucked from the audience, so they don't know what they're up against until the very last minute. Once selected, two couples try to answer quiz questions with the audience baying for blood.
Come on, Adam!
But worst of all, when the winners finally emerge, comes the humiliation of the losers. They have to stand by while their beloved car is simply destroyed. Where is the fun in such wanton destruction? There's only one way to describe it, that's torture TV. At least the contestants have a chance to win a car. The rest of the audience have to suffer the crusher with no hope of any reward.
That used to make nice kebabs, yeah? And how long did you have that kebab shop for? Because your wife put us up to this.
No, it's not my wife.
So you by yourself?
Yeah.
A man apparently loses his business and he's practically assaulted by Freddie Starr. I don't find this entertaining. I'm sure there's others who feel the same way.
There is going to be a reaction against this. You know, television has been scraping the barrel for some years now with people shows and trying to humiliate people, covering them in gunge, all that sort of rubbish. But I think this particular programme, but it's simply moronic. You know, everyone that participates in it should hang their heads in shame. That there is no wit to it or anything. It's artless and it's heartless. You know, it does punish people. They want people to jump through hoops for them, and it isn't on. You know, it's not real entertainment.
What I'd like to know is why Sky put this programme on in the first place.
It's a modern show and it certainly dares to be a bit different, and I think it sort of throws out the sort of rather tired concept of the old consolation checkbook and pen and raises the stakes a little.
Don't you accept that the programme has a strong element of cruelty?
No, I don't, John. I think any show with Freddie Starr is going to be a bit different. He's as popular as he is unpredictable, if you like. The individuals that stake their own car willingly and knowingly, quite obviously, were not compensated for the loss of their vehicle in their attempt to win a much better one. Everybody else that lost personal possessions or valuable objects along the way certainly were compensated more than adequately.
I think this should be taken off air. What are the chances?
Apologies for any offence caused. I think it's a little early to say whether the show will come off air. I think we have to wait and see how the series progresses. At the moment it's proving to be very popular, but we have to take obviously any complaints such as yours quite seriously and then weigh it up towards the end of the series.
Well, I still think shows like Beat the Crusher actually bring the game show genre to an all-time low. I think it should be stopped. I'm glad to hear that some people are compensated. I just wish that compensation would actually extend to those who had their cars crushed in the crusher.
The latest series of ITV's hugely successful Who Wants to Be a Millionaire might have finished, but there are still big prizes up for grabs. This week the show won 2 awards and the rights have been sold to several other countries. Then there's the millions of pounds generated by the premium rate phone lines used to find contestants. A fair amount of it is still sitting around because nobody has yet won the top prize. Is that perhaps because the game is flawed? What would you do if you had to choose between keeping the $500,000 you'd already won or possibly getting a question wrong and going back down to 32,000? Would you gamble?
No way, no, not unless I was absolutely positive. They asked me my birthday, I might go for it. You mean would I go for it, or will I bottle it? I'd go for it.
I wouldn't. I'll take my £500,000 and go.
I'd probably risk it, actually, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't say I was greedy, but you don't know, do you? 50-50 chance, you might get it right, you might get it wrong.
I'd gamble.
I'd gamble.
Take it. Risking losing £500,000, mate, crazy.
Gamble. I mean, if you're going to get the 32,000 straight away, you might as well. You're not going to lose it, so I'd do it.
I'd take the money. No, I'm going to take the money and run.
And so would I. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is due back in the spring. We're due back after the break, when we'll be asking what the future holds for the BBC licence fee.